Representative Boyle, let's transition a little bit here and let's talk about your measure that would bring voting into the 21st century. You have a bill that would allow citizens to register on the same day that they can vote. So let's talk a little bit about that, how it would work, and why you're an advocate for this.
Correct. So the law right now, just to take a step back, as of the current law right now in Pennsylvania, which has been the same law for much longer than you and I have been alive, you have to register to vote at least 30 days prior to the election. So in most campaigns, it really heats up in the final month. That's when candidates advertise on TV. That's when you receive direct mail. Presidential elections are a little bit different. It seems like presidential elections take about 4 years nowadays. But most other races, it's really the final month when things heat up. With this antiquated 30-day requirement, we actually lose a number of new voters who would participate in the system but become interested a little bit too late. So what my law would do is allow them to register to vote up to and including the day of the election. My law is based, or my proposal, which I hope becomes law, is based on already existing law in Minnesota, New Hampshire, Wisconsin, and 6 other states. A total of 9 states have same-day voter registration. And what we have found in those states is that voter registration is significantly higher in those states than it is here in Pennsylvania. Now, some who may like that question, is it safe? Is it reliable? Does this open the door to more voter fraud? A Harvard public policy study in 2008 showed that in states that have same-day voter registration, there is no increase in voter fraud whatsoever.
They actually have a lower incidence of fraud.
That is correct. They actually have lower because they are using modern technology to check registrations that in Pennsylvania we don't have. We have in this state basically the same voter registration system that we've had since the 1940s and 50s, which is based on paperwork and logbooks and signatures. It is an antiquated system. In the 21st century and the sort of technology that we have, there's absolutely no need to maintain the antiquated system that we have now. And it seems to me a pretty good idea that if we can increase voter registration, we can increase voter turnout, yet at the same time in no way increase the potential for voter fraud, I think that that's a good thing and we should do it.
Okay, and then that will be less paperwork, which is actually less money because and it's less hassle. So
correct. And I would point out as well, just mechanically, if people are wondering how this works, the way it works in, as I mentioned, Minnesota and New Hampshire is that John Smith gets excited about a race in the final couple weeks, wasn't registered to vote before, decides wants to vote this time. He can walk up to the polling location, fill out a registration form, brings a picture ID, which is a government-issued photo ID, such as a driver's license.
Or a passport.
Or a passport. Shows that, and that's to verify 2 things. First, that the name is correct, and second, that that person is eligible to vote in that constituency. The person is then registered. They fill out a provisional ballot. This is the provisional ballot system that we've had in existence ever since 2004. That ballot is then held off to the side, just to give enough time to the Secretary of State to verify that, sure enough, that person is who he says he is. So it really is a foolproof system. I strongly encourage it, and there's really no valid reason why we shouldn't have that in Pennsylvania today. So I'm proud to be the sponsor of the bill, and will continue to fight to make it easier to vote in our state, while at the same time ensuring that we have a secure voter system.
And that also helps with birthdays as well, because sometimes someone's 17 years old and they're just a few days shy of being 18, and with the system where they have to wait a few days before they can register to vote, because they have to be 18 to even register to vote, and then they're 18 the day of the election, then it's kind of like,
right, at their 18th birthday. That is correct. I mean, that's a problem. Actually, a colleague of mine, Rich Grusella, a longtime state rep who's retiring this year, has a different piece of legislation which would allow 17-year-olds to register to vote in the primary so long as they turn 18 by the date of the general election. And that, to me, makes a lot of sense, since in a lot of areas the primary election is tantamount to the general election. So that's a good idea as well. The main thrust of my bill, what it helps is those people who get turned on by an election in the last few weeks really get interested, now want to participate in the system. Let's not lose those folks. Let's bring them in, because study after study shows if one is more likely to vote, They're more likely to participate in their community in other ways. They're more likely to get involved in the neighborhood, more likely to volunteer. If we're going to have a democracy, and we're going to sustain a democracy, then it does require people coming out to exercise their right to vote. And this is my measure ultimately makes it a little bit easier for people to do that.
Okay. Well, we're going to take a short break, and we will be right back.